You bought a house? For yourself? That's what my mom said. Not with excitement, not even confusion, but with this sharp tone, like I'd just admitted I ran over her cat on purpose. My name is Lillian. I'm 34 years old, a remote systems engineer for a software company, and until recently, I lived in a rented apartment in Denver. Small, quiet, nothing fancy. Just a place where I could work, cook, and think without someone else telling me how to live. I come from a family that believes in sticking together, which really just means Lillian handles everything, and no one says thank you. My younger brother Bryce is 31, always the golden boy, star quarterback in high school, the charming one, the fun one. He dropped out of college, bounced between jobs, and now lives with his wife Tina and their 2 kids in my parents' basement. They say it's temporary. It's been 5 years. I was never the problem child. I was the background, the responsible one, the one who never asked for help, who always showed up with a gift and left without causing trouble. So when I quietly started looking for a small cabin in Colorado, something near a lake, with trees and space and no screaming through the walls, it was my secret. A dream I'd been building for 9 years, penny by penny. I didn't buy clothes I didn't need. I drove a 2008 Honda that rattled like an empty soda can. I cooked at home, canceled streaming services, turned down every flashy trip and weekend getaway my coworkers planned. I told myself it would all be worth it. And it was. I found a quiet 2-bedroom cabin on the edge of a lake in Grand County. Wood-paneled walls, a stone fireplace, a wraparound porch that caught the sunrise. The second I saw it, I knew. This is mine. I didn't tell anyone. Not until Sunday dinner. We do it once a month. Pot roast, potato salad, Bryce's kids knocking over juice, my mom asking if I've found someone yet, and Dad falling asleep on the couch halfway through dessert. That night, I made the mistake of smiling while checking something on my phone. Bryce noticed first. "What's with the creepy grin, Lil?" I laughed softly. "Nothing. Just house stuff." Tina perked up. "Wait, house stuff?" I nodded. "Yeah, I'm closing on a place next month. Just a little cabin by the lake." There was this pause, like the room collectively forgot how to breathe. My mom blinked. "You're buying a house?" "For yourself?" Bryce added, eyes squinting like I'd grown a third eye. "Yes," I said slowly, unsure why this needed clarification. "It's just me, so—" That's when the energy shifted. Mom set her fork down. "Lillian, we've been talking about finding a place, a real place, for the family. Somewhere the kids can run around. Tina's been looking at homes in that area too." Tina jumped in. "Yeah, that town's perfect. Schools are good. There's a Target nearby. If you get a bigger place, we could all make it work." "I wasn't looking for a place for all of us," I said, still trying to sound calm. "But you've got the money," Bryce said flatly. "You work from home, no partner, no kids. It's not like you need all that space." I felt my throat tighten. "It's not all that space. It's 2 bedrooms, and it's mine." Then Mom added the line I'll never forget. "We just thought, since you're the one who has her life together, maybe you'd do this for the family." For the family. The same family that forgot my college graduation because Bryce's dog had a vet appointment. The same family that never visited me once in Denver, but expected me to drive 2 hours for every birthday, holiday, and last-minute emergency. That night, I left early. Drove home in silence, hands gripping the wheel. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just kept thinking one thing. They didn't ask. They just assumed. I thought that was the end of it. Just a tense dinner, a misunderstanding. But the next morning, I woke up to 12 texts. From Mom, from Bryce, from Tina, all with links to 4-bedroom homes, all saying the same thing. "This one's perfect. Just say yes." I hadn't even signed the contract yet. The next 3 days felt like drowning in polite manipulation. At first, I tried to brush it off. I told myself they were just excited, that maybe they hadn't really meant to overstep. But the texts kept coming. Bryce found a place with a finished basement, perfect for a playroom. Tina says the one near Crystal Creek has a huge backyard. You'll love it, Lil. Even my mom joined in. Sweetheart, we all think this is the one. Barbara from church is the realtor. She said she'd give us a discount if we act fast. United States. Not me. I hadn't even finished signing the paperwork for my cabin. I was still waiting for the seller to confirm the final inspection. Yet my family had already moved on, full steam ahead, making decisions for a life that wasn't theirs. The worst part? They weren't even asking, they were telling. That Wednesday, I came home from a long client call to find an envelope stuck in my front door. Inside was a glossy brochure for a 6-bedroom home outside Evergreen. Someone, probably Tina, had circled things in pink highlighter. Game room for the kids. Fireplace for cozy family nights. Master suite with lake view. That's yours, Lillian. My hands shook as I held it. I wasn't even angry at first. I just felt invisible. Like my life was a board game and they were just moving the pieces. That night, I called my mom. I needed to set things straight. Her voice was cheerful. Too cheerful. Oh, good, you saw the brochure. I left it when I dropped off that casserole. Isn't it perfect? I didn't even respond to that. Mom, I haven't agreed to anything. I never said I was buying a house for all of you. There was a pause. Then she sighed. Lillian, we're not asking for much. Just some room, a place where we can all breathe. I gripped the phone tighter. I've been saving for nearly a decade. This isn't just a purchase. This is my dream. You don't think Bryce deserves to dream too? She snapped. He's been through so much. So have I said quieter, but no one ever noticed. She went silent. And for a moment, I thought maybe, she heard me. Then she said it, the line that broke me. Sometimes I wonder if all that independence made you cold. I hung up without saying goodbye. I spent the next hour on the couch, lights off, fingers numb. That single sentence echoed louder than anything else they'd ever said. Not the guilt-tripping, not the passive-aggressive comments, just that. I was cold for not handing over everything I'd built, for wanting something that was only mine. It hurt more than I expected, because a part of me, the part they trained to always fold, still wanted them to be proud, still wanted someone to say, "You did it. We're proud of you." But they weren't proud. They were entitled, and I was done. The next morning, I called the seller and confirmed the purchase. I signed every document and wired the down payment. I didn't tell anyone. I didn't post it. I didn't even breathe it out loud. This was mine, and mine alone. Then came the twist. Friday night, I got an email from the title agency. Hey Lillian, just double-checking, is Bryce Thompson your co-buyer? We had someone call claiming to be added to the deed. Thought that was odd, since the paperwork says you're purchasing solo. I stared at the screen. Heart pounding. I didn't answer the email. I called the agency directly and confirmed. No one, absolutely no one, is to be added to the title but me. Then I checked my voicemail. Sure enough, Bryce had left a cheerful message. Hey sis, I talked to the realtor about adding my name. Hope that's cool. We're just figuring it out as a family. You'll thank us later. Number no, I won't. Because this time, I wasn't just saying no, I was preparing for war. I didn't sleep the night I heard Bryce tried to add himself to the deed. I just sat on the floor of my apartment, staring at the ceiling, replaying every single moment I had ever said yes to make someone else's life easier. Every time I stayed quiet so I wouldn't be called difficult. Every time I swallowed my feelings because family comes first. But this time, they crossed a line so deep it hit bone. The next day, I requested the final notarized version of the deed, solely under my name, and had it certified, locked, and filed with my lawyer. I changed the locks on the new cabin, requested call blocks on my phone, and froze all credit checks tied to my name. I wasn't being dramatic, I was being prepared. And then came Saturday night dinner, the last one I would attend for a long, long time. I didn't want to go, but some part of me, that stubborn flicker of hope, thought maybe they'd realized how wrong they were. That maybe they'd apologize. That was cute. The moment I walked through the door, I felt it. The silence, the smirks, the way Tina wouldn't meet my eyes. Bryce looked smug, like someone who thought he'd already won the game before I even sat down. We barely made it through the salad before my mom spoke. "So," she said, too casually, "we heard back from the mortgage advisor. They said you can still add a second name to the deed within 30 days of purchase. Isn't that right, Bryce?" He grinned. "Yep, still within the window." I froze. "I told the agency no one else was to be added," I said, my voice low but firm. "Oh, honey," Mom said with a chuckle, "this isn't about control. This is about legacy. Bryce is family. You're not giving him a mansion, just a chance." "A chance at what?" I snapped, squatting in a house I bought alone with 10 years of sacrifice. Dad, who hadn't said a word until then, chimed in without even looking up from his plate. "We're not going to beg, Lillian, but understand. Selfishness comes with consequences." I felt heat rise in my chest. Tina cleared her throat. "We've already packed a few boxes, just essentials. We figured you'd want help breaking the place in next weekend." I turned my head slowly. "You're moving in." She blinked. "Well, we assumed you'd want company, for safety, for—" "You all planned this behind my back." My voice cracked. "You plan to move in. You plan to change the title. You plan to use me." Mom said nothing. Bryce shrugged. "We thought you'd come around." That's when I pulled out the envelope. "Funny," I said, sliding it onto the table. "Because I also planned something." Inside was a cease and desist letter, drafted by my attorney, stamped and ready. Bryce opened it. His smile faded. "This is a joke." "No," I said, standing. "This is me drawing the line. Try to access my deed again, and it becomes a legal matter." "You'd drag your own family to court?" Mom gasped. "I'd do it with a smile," I said, grabbing my purse. Bryce stood. "You're tearing this family apart over some dumb cabin." "No," I said, my voice clear now. "You tore it apart the moment you saw my hard work as your inheritance." I turned to leave, and that's when it happened. Dad stood too, not angry, not yelling, just resigned. "Give it a month," he said to Bryce. "She'll calm down, she always does." I didn't look back, because I knew what they still didn't. This time, I wouldn't. And as I stepped outside, into the cold night air, my phone buzzed. A blocked number. New voicemail. I waited until I got home to play it. A woman's voice. Soft, polite, but unfamiliar. "Hi, this is Christina from Gold Elm Properties. We just received an inquiry from Bryce Thompson, asking about transferring home ownership through marital rights." I paused the message. Marital rights. Bryce wasn't just trying to move in. He was trying to claim spousal access to my house by pretending we were married. I couldn't breathe. He was going to commit fraud, using my name. And now, this wasn't just betrayal. It was war. After the voicemail about Bryce pretending to be my spouse, I didn't cry. I didn't scream either. I just sat there, perfectly still, my hand over my mouth, thinking, "You really thought you could turn me into your financial doormat and walk away whistling?" That was the moment I shifted. Not from pain to peace, not from hurt to healing. Number from silent to strategic. I stayed up all night, not doom-scrolling or spiraling, but planning. Because when you grow up in a family where your value is measured by how much you can give, you either break, or you become very good at playing dumb while taking notes. I started by calling Gold Elm Properties first thing the next morning. I spoke directly to the woman who'd left the voicemail. Christina. She was apologetic, horrified, and, most importantly, cooperative. "Ms. Rhodes, I'm so sorry. We flagged the request as suspicious, but we couldn't confirm anything without contacting you. He submitted a fake lease agreement with your signature. We've already reported it internally." I asked her to email me everything, the request, the forged documents, even the call log. She did. Then I called my lawyer. Fraud, forgery, attempted theft of property via marital claim. Bryce had no idea I was sitting on a mountain of evidence, and I was done protecting his ego. But I didn't file the report right away. I had something else in mind first. Something a little more poetic. See, Bryce had always coasted on charm, on the idea that he could sweet-talk his way through anything: loans, favors, jobs. He and Tina had been living off borrowed credit, deferred payments, and goodwill for years. And one of the things I'd done, back when I was still the helpful sister, was co-sign his first business account when he wanted to start a landscaping company. That company failed after 6 months. He owed taxes, defaulted on payments. But because I'd taken control of the account early, when things started looking sketchy, my name was still listed as primary administrator on the LLC. Bryce never bothered to update the paperwork. Probably thought I forgot. But I hadn't. And that gave me access to something very interesting: his EIN, Employer Identification Number, and banking history. With my lawyer's help, I logged into the state's business system and submitted an official closure of the LLC under my name. Then I froze the linked business account entirely. Legally clean, ethically overdue. He would wake up the next morning unable to access a single cent tied to that account, and unable to reopen it without explaining to the IRS why the business was still listed under someone else's name. Then I did one more thing. I contacted a fraud investigator my firm works with, someone discreet, sharp, and terrifyingly efficient. I sent him everything: the fake documents, the property scam, the attempted marital fraud. His exact response? "Give me 2 days. I'll make sure he never applies for a loan again without hearing your name first." I slept like a baby that night. Then came the twist I didn't see coming. I was sipping tea the next morning, watching sunlight spill across my floor, when my phone buzzed. A Venmo request. From Tina. It read, $248.67, groceries for the week. Since you're still part of the family, we figured you'd want to help. I stared at the screen, stunned. Not only had Bryce tried to steal my house, his wife had the audacity to ask me to sponsor their meals, like I was some kind of monthly subscription. And that's when I realized they hadn't just underestimated me. They never saw me as a person at all, just a wallet with a pulse. I declined the request, then blocked both of them. And I didn't just smile, I laughed, because they didn't know it yet, but a sheriff's deputy would be delivering legal papers to their front door within 48 hours. And that house they tried to take? I'd be spending the weekend there, planting tulips, alone, at peace, and for the first time, completely, unapologetically untouchable. 2 days later, Bryce answered the door in basketball shorts and a smug look, and got handed a stack of papers thicker than his ego. A cease and desist, formal notice of property fraud under state law, and a subpoena for attempted forgery tied to real estate records. I wasn't there to see it, but Tina filmed him opening the door and yelling at the officer. She posted it to her Instagram story with the caption, "Some people just love drama, right?" A grown man trying to forge his sister's signature and claim ownership over her house. And I'm the drama? The investigator didn't stop there. Turns out, Bryce had tried the same trick 2 years earlier, listing his name on a rental agreement for a family friend's property, pretending to be a co-owner, to get utilities transferred into his name for free. That time, the friend let it slide. I didn't. With evidence stacking up, and my lawyer being both relentless and terrifyingly polite, Bryce was forced into a settlement agreement to avoid full criminal prosecution. His name was formally barred from making any legal claims tied to me, my property, or my identity. Any attempt would trigger automatic legal action. He walked away with a record. Not a criminal one, barely, but enough for every lender in the state to flag his applications. Enough for his name to quietly slide to the bottom of every rental agency's approval list. And Tina? She lost the side gig she had tutoring at a private school when one of the moms found out about the Venmo stunt. Apparently, They don't love hiring people who try to mooch off relatives under the tag family. They stopped showing up to family dinners. No more texts. No more, hey, got a minute? Phone calls at midnight. It was quiet, but not empty. Because I was building something, my home became a place of peace, not obligation. I joined a hiking group, started teaching a free budgeting workshop at the community center. On Sunday mornings, I sat by the lake with coffee and just existed. And one chilly autumn afternoon, I got an email from a former coworker of Bryce's. She didn't say much, just that she had seen what I'd done, that she wished she had done something like it years ago, and that seeing someone draw the line and mean it helped her finally leave a toxic family situation. I didn't expect it, but it meant everything. We don't always get apologies. We don't always get closure wrapped in bows. But sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is say no and not flinch. Months passed. Then one day, I spotted Tina at the local farmer's market. Alone. She looked different. Quieter. No makeup, just a tired sweatshirt and a bag of bruised apples. She saw me. I waited for a snide comment, a glare, something. But all she said was, "You were right. I didn't want to believe it, but you were." Then she turned and walked away. I didn't follow. I didn't need to. That chapter had closed. Completely. So, if you've ever been in my shoes, the quiet one, the responsible one, the easy-to-take-for-granted one, let me say this. You don't owe anyone your peace. You don't have to set yourself on fire to keep people warm. And if they treat your boundaries like betrayal, walk away anyway. Because peace doesn't come from keeping the family together. Sometimes, it comes from choosing yourself. If that ending hit you hard too, drop a 2 in the comments. And stick around if you want more stories like this. Revenge stories that aren't just about payback. They're about finally being seen.